What if one supplement could make your entire immune system smarter? Not stronger, in an aggressive way, smarter. That's exactly what BWH 85 beta-glucan from BWH Labs does. It works with your immune system, helping it recognize threats, respond effectively, and protect you the way nature intended. BWH Labs has spent over 25 years perfecting the purest, most biologically active beta-glucan on the market, an 85% pure formula that's been tested against 200 competitors and named the most effective immune modulator in peer-reviewed research. The science speaks for itself, just one ingredient, one focus. Unmatched results. Doctors and integrative health practitioners trust BWH 85 beta-glucan, and so do I. It's available in 100 milligrams for daily support or 500 milligrams for maximum immune defense. It's only available through health practitioners, but as an intelligent medicine listener, it's available to you through my full script dispensary. Just go to drhoffman.com/BWH for more information and to order. That's drhoffman.com/BWH, because a smarter immune system starts with one smart choice. Welcome back to today's Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ronald Hoffman. I'm learning a lot, as I hope you are, about indoor air quality and also how to address concerns about our water supply and just how to make our homes and offices safer. With us today is Helen Christoni, who is an environmental and wellness expert. Her specialty is indoor air and home health. And she regularly discusses how indoor air and drinking water quality influence our overall well-being and can contribute to health conditions. She is an example of that. She's overcome a health crisis by paying more attention to the air she breathes and the water that she consumes. And as a result, she's kind of crusading about evidence-based ways to reduce household pollutant exposure. So a question about air purifiers, because it's not one size fits all, right? You got it. So you kind of have to size up your situation. Like size matters. There's the capacity of your air purifier. And, some people say, well, I'm just going to buy one. I'll put it I can put it in my living room. But does that cut it? Or should you have like a smaller unit, perhaps in your bedroom, which is your inner sanctum where you spend a lot of time?
Yes. So I always like to say you want to have air purification where you sleep and where you gather. And I put sleep first. And by all means, please, when we have young kids and they're growing and developing, I think it's very important that we have air purifiers in our young children's rooms, our older seniors' rooms. This can be very helpful for them. And so where you sleep and where you gather, let's get into it. So air purifiers do not purify through walls, and you need to be moving the air within the room to clean the room. And there are different size air purifiers based on different square footage needs. And so when you're looking for an air purifier for your bedroom, let's say that your bedroom is 300 square feet. Knowing that number is really important because then you can definitely pick an air doctor. Like you don't need to have a big, like we have like a big air doctor 5,000 unit. It covers up to 1,000 to 2,000 square feet. You're not going to need that for your bedroom. You can put a smaller unit in there and it'll be sufficient to move the air 4 to 5 times an hour. And then in a larger area where you might have vaulted ceilings or an open concept, you want a bigger unit. And so, especially if you have a lot of people in there. So where you sleep and where you gather, those are two really important places.
Indeed. And so the other issue is these things just lock and load. You just turn them on and forget about them, or do you have to maintain them? How frequently you have to change? I guess the carbon is certainly a limiting factor because it can only absorb these toxic materials to a certain point. Then it gets saturated, and then you have to replace it.
So it's I'm glad that you brought that up because there's some air purification companies that are like, this carbon's going to last for 5 years.
Yikes.
Some air purifiers, they have paper sprayed with carbon. Carbon's not regulated. So I think that it's really important to kind of dig into the carbon conversation to make sure that you're covered and do some research on your air purifier. At Air Doctor, we swap out the carbon filter, which is about a pound, every 6 months. So every
Okay.
6 months, you need to swap out the carbon filter.
That is reasonable,
And
and that's fairly economical. It's,
yeah. And then for our ultra HEPA filter, you change it every year. So
mhm.
between the two of those, you do, there's 3 filter changes a year, and that's what's needed to maintain your air purification. And look, like if you're not spending a lot of time in a room, it's okay. Like, I mean, it's really like where you sleep and where you gather. Those are
Yeah,
the two most important places in your home.
indeed. So there's some gimmicks associated with these air purifiers. There's what are called ionizers. It's thought that
Mhm.
ionizing the particles, does some good. I once had a ionizer, and I placed it adjacent to a white wall, and that was a mistake because
Yeah.
what the ionization did was it put a charge on all the soot and all the junk that was in the air, and I had a nice, you know,
Yes. Black
black
wall.
halo on my white, perfectly white, pristine white wall.
Yeah.
Uh, is that a good thing?
Well, look, I mean, a lot of people like, connect ions with the great
Yeah.
outdoors, being in
It's
forest,
like being at this
greenwashing.
forest bathing and the being at the
Yeah, all that's,
seashore,
yes,
positive, what is it? Positive ions or
positive ions.
negative ions.
Or yeah, some people love it, some people don't. And so
Yeah.
I think like it's for you, but would I use that as a sole way to purify your air? Absolutely not. You
Okay.
need to be capturing these contaminants and also neutralizing gases and things like that. So it's like a cool feature, but not necessarily something you should hang your hat on for the whole air purification of your room.
And there's also ultraviolet, and especially during COVID, this came up as an issue because it's thought that this blue light can kill viral particles, and so it's you get this reassuring kind of blue glow coming out of your unit. And is that a legitimate thing to add on to a home purifier?
I mean, just if you think about, I always like to say, like, when you go to the barber shop or the nail salon and they have these lights where they're sterilizing
Yeah.
things. I mean, you'd have to have your whole entire room
Yeah.
covered in ultraviolet light. You'd
Which
have
could
to
get which
literally
would give you cancer if you
a hundred
expose
percent,
yourself to it,
right?
right?
To really do the job. And so I think there's not a lot of science behind it
Mhm.
in large spaces. And so I would take that with a grain of salt.
Okay. Okay. So that's good to know. So really, we're talking HEPA, carbon block, and adequate suction and adequate, coverage for
Yeah.
a room. Uh, so I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about water because water is a concern of mine in the city. I have a carbon block filter under my sink, and I decided to take the leap and get a reverse osmosis system for a country house where I don't know, maybe the water supply is a little sketchier. Is that overkill, or
No.
what do you think?
I mean, I think everybody needs to be putting their water through reverse osmosis
Oh, you do.
purification. Yeah. And I think our water crisis is a crisis. People just don't understand what's going on with our tap water. And I think that it's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about having this conversation is that people don't understand what they're doing every day, what happens with tap water when you add heat to it. There's a lot of things here. So for people listening to the podcast, like before we get into this conversation, I urge you to go to ismywatersafe.com,
Okay.
put your zip code in,
Uh-huh.
and look at your water report, see what's in it. Because that was my aha moment is when I looked at my water report 6 or 7 years ago and I was like, what is happening with our water? And
And you don't live near a Superfund site. You live in like suburban Los Angeles, it sounds like, right?
I live in the foothills of Los Angeles, right up the Angeles Crest Forest. We have a small watery municipality, but here in the United States of America, we have 12 million lead waterways. The government continues to pass bills and infrastructure bills to try and fix our water issue, but keeps getting rolled back. Lobbyists, lawsuits, it's like in my lifetime, we won't see the 12 million lead waterways be dealt with. And then they have this huge problem with forever chemicals, arsenic. I mean, there's all kinds of things that only really reverse osmosis will deal with.
So
And
let's get the distinction between, like people have various ways of dealing with it. They've got the kind of Brita filter type thing, which is like you pour water and then it's like anticipation, you're waiting for the water to go through and like hurry up already. But it is going through a filter. And then more elaborate is to have a carbon block filter that is installed under your sink or on top of your sink, or whatever, and it forces the water through the carbon block and it absorbs some of the toxins. And then there's that I think the ultimate step is the reverse osmosis. So what is reverse osmosis and why is it superior?
well, let's talk about it. Okay, so you have your pitcher filter. Pitcher filter has one little carbon filter in it, and it's basically removing chlorine, maybe some chloramines, and lead from the water. So that's really what they're meant for. And you really need to stay on top of that filter change in your pitcher filter regularly,
Mhm.
right? Like, because what happens with the pitcher filter is once it gets filled, it starts to seep all the contaminants back into the water. There's no
Oh,
light, there's no
it,
reminder.
it
There's,
gets super
yeah,
saturated and it just releases the toxins again.
yeah. And then then you're seeping, all this. So it's not really it's not really, it's better than nothing, but it's not really a solution for water purification. Then you have, your sink filters and also your fridge filters. Now, these are marginally better because you need pressure to purify, so there's some pressure pushing through the carbon filter, which you're going to get a little more contaminant
Mhm.
reduction. But I mean,
I,
like,
I got to tell you, when I change it every 6 months. The amount of gunk that accumulates in there is just appalling.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what I think is, reverse osmosis. Let's talk about it. So, RO at AquaTrue, we have countertop reverse osmosis units, which are kind of like coffee makers, where you just take your tap water and it goes through a full 4-stage reverse osmosis process. We also have undersink units, work
This is at
units.
airdoctor.com.
No, this is at aquatrue.com. It's
Oh,
our
I'm
sister.
sorry,
AquaTrue,
aquatrue.com. Okay.
aquatrue.com. It's our sister company. And so let's say we have our first stage, which is you remove all the sediment, stage one. Then it goes through a carbon block and it's removing the chlorine, the chloramines, and some of the lead. Then it goes through reverse osmosis. So what reverse osmosis is a membrane. And what happens with RO is contaminated water stays behind and pure water goes through. So you actually have contaminated wastewater that you throw out. And then we have another coconut carbon block, which removes things like pharmaceutical residue, jet fuel, all these weird things that are in our water that people don't even test for. So
Right.
I am
By the way, I noticed that our unit, I mean, I had it installed, so I don't know what the inner workings, but it's got three different places where you replace the filters.
yes.
Yeah. So it's three stage.
Well, it's four because the one is a 1 and 2. So it's like a 1 and 2 filter, a 3 and a 4. So one of the cartridges has two different filter
Oh,
mediums inside.
okay.
Yeah. Let's so we shouldn't be drinking anything that is in our water and pretending that it's okay to consume. I really think that RO had a bad rap because there's a little bit of wastewater that comes out of it for a long time. But because of the level of contaminants that are in our water, the horrible diseases that they're correlated with,
Mhm.
and just the inability for like a pitcher filter to remove things like forever chemicals, arsenic, that sort of stuff.
PFAS, so called. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
and we want to be, watering an edible plant with that water. Like, we don't want to be giving it to our children.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary. So
So, excuse me, what about the argument that water should deliver some minerals, like
sure,
magnesium and other trace minerals? And is this
with
water in some ways, with all this filtration, devitalized because of that?
I mean, you're not getting a lot of minerals from your tap water. First, you're getting much more contaminants than minerals from our tap water. So let's just start there. We're getting most of our minerals from food, what we eat, how we live, how we
Okay.
supplement. So that's where the majority of our minerals are coming from. But if minerals are super important to
Hmm.
you, like, we have a filter number 3, which remineralizes the
Hmm.
water and also makes it alkaline, high pH, all these
Yeah,
things. So
remineralizes it. Yeah.
yes. So we're
Okay.
able to
So
mineralize the
it's like
water.
that's a water softener is so called, right? It,
I think water softeners are a little different,
oh,
like water softeners like put things in that you don't necessarily want to be like. I think people should soften the
sodium.
water and then purify the water because it has a lot of sodium in it
Yeah.
to soften the water. But I think what's really when I ran my water report, I was shocked at first of all, like I like to talk about this. 6 years ago, my arsenic in my water was at 222 times the health guidelines.
Oh
Everyone's
my
talking about
goodness.
forever chemicals and microplastics and all these things, but let's talk about arsenic. Arsenic is one of like a very it's a contaminant that's very bad for us. It's a poison, right? And so 6 years ago it was at 222 times the health guidelines. Just recently, at the beginning of this year, when I was updating my slides, I was like, let me run my water report again. Like, I can't believe that I hadn't ran it in all that time. My water, my arsenic in my water is now at 1,275 times the health guidelines. So, over the last 6 years, I went from 222 to 1,275 times the health guidelines.
And
Why?
by the way, I just looked it up. I
Yeah.
did a Google search. Chronic exposure to arsenic is an environmental risk factor for osteoporosis and osteopenia, which is the very
Yes.
condition that you suffered,
Thank you.
because it's a poison and it poisons bone metabolism and it poisons virtually all the organs in the body. But when, bone is living tissue, and when bone is poisoned, bone tends to weaken and demineralize and become prone to fractures. So,
Yeah, it's no good. But then let's talk about what happens with arsenic in our water. So we have arsenic in our water. I have it at 1,275 times the health guidelines, right? Then we put it in water, we boil it, and we make mac and cheese. So when we put like tap water into a pot and we boil it, we're programmed to think that we're cleaning the
right,
water.
it's cleaning the water. Right, they tell you, if there's like a water problem, they'll say boil your water.
No, do not. Well, boil it, but then purify it. Because what's happening, like I fill up my pot, I go to make mac and cheese, I boil the water. That arsenic multiplies by 3 when you cook with it. So
You
it
concentrate it in effect.
2 to 3 times.
Yeah.
And not just arsenic, also the forever chemicals, the lead, all these things in the water
Wait, because
concentrates.
the H2O evaporates, but the pollutants remain. Okay, I
That's
get it.
right.
I get it. Yeah.
So, I mean, would you be feeding your family, arsenic food at 4,000 times the health guidelines? No, no one ever would. And that's what kind of like blew my mind. Like, I'm like, wait, like, let's do the math here. How many meals have I cooked my friends, my family, my children that have been just filled with contaminants? So it's not just in the water that we're drinking, it's the food preparation.
Yeah,
And the
that's
food
true.
preparation, it gets much more concentrated. And I speak to people every day that are like, wait, what are you saying to me? Like they're filling up their coffee pot, they're putting on a kettle for tea. They're not using purified water. And this is why we're filled with all these contaminants. We've got such high, like, this toxic burden is so massive is because people don't really understand how these things like,
Well,
multiply.
I think a lot of people got the message. They don't trust their tap water, so they buy, expensive mineral water. They will buy, and I see people swigging from the plastic bottles in the street, and I want to tell them that, you're simply drinking microparticles. Is the water from these pure artesian wells safer and healthier than the water that comes out of your tap?
No, I mean, like just by stopping using like drinking out of plastic bottles, there was a Harvard study that shows you can like reduce your microplastic intake by 90%. And arsenic, I mean, there's no safe level of arsenic or lead or there's no safe amount. Like you'd
Right.
be like, oh,
They
here's
set
a
they
little.
set a level, like they tolerate a certain amount, but zero is the optimal amount.
Yeah, and so, I like to really like lean in on the arsenic conversation because it's like not people don't know. Like it's linked to cancer, cardiovascular issues, infertility, all these things. And this is a natural occurring contaminant because of our earth, global warming
Yeah.
or lack thereof, whatever your position is on that, that's just being made under the soil that's seeping into our water supply. And it's not like a buzzword, but it's very harmful to us. And then you layer in, forever chemicals, which are forever, and
Pharmaceuticals,
pharmaceuticals,
getting a little
antibiotics.
Prozac in the water, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe that's to the good.
Yeah. And it's like once you start drinking reverse osmosis water, you are not going back. I mean, it like turns you into an instant water snob. Like, I don't want that ice. I don't want that. Like, I'm not eating that meal. Like, forget your iced tea. You can taste it. You can smell
Yeah.
it. Like, it's
I, I,
very,
I
it's,
literally have a brand new unit. I just checked it out. It
uh,
was installed while I was away. So,
oh, I
yeah.
can't wait. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, so this is a really big, I'm very passionate about this topic because, we like you think about animals and like I always hear like how are dogs getting cancer and like why are all these it's because we're giving them this toxic water and, I one out of, and the cancer rates here in the United States are abysmal. People talk about like specific cancers, but
Mhm.
when you think about like the overall cancer rate, like 1 out of 2 men will have cancer in their lifetime and 1 out of 3 women.
We're seeing an
And
alarming uptick in young people getting cancer, very young people getting cancers that we thought were associated with old age.
And 10% have the gene. So 90% of these cancers are due to some sort of toxic exposure. And so
Mhm.
it's like these reducing the toxic burden is so important. And water is such an easy, like, at AquaTree, we made these very affordable countertop kind of reverse osmosis systems. So for a couple $100, you can just basically like,
That's a good price point. Yeah.
purify your own water at home. Like if you rent, if you're a single person, if you have a small family, we have glass pitchers. We also have other things. So it's really accessible and it's much less expensive than like buying all these like cases of plastic bottles or
Hmm.
even glass bottles now. There's been a lot of testing of companies where they still have forever chemicals, microplastics, all these things in them. So I really think it's making a couple changes in your home can have a tremendous impact on the health of ourselves and also our families.
Okay, folks, at this point, let's allow one of our sponsors an opportunity to share an important message with you. So here goes. Please listen up.
Kids don't just bring home homework, they bring home germs. And those germs don't just stay with them, they spread to the whole household. That's why Clear Nasal Spray was created by a practicing physician to give parents and grandparents peace of mind. You may not think about it, but your nose is filtering out a semi-truck full of air every single day. Clear isn't just another spray. It creates an additional layer of protection in your nose that blocks bacteria and viruses before they can even take hold. Yes, even that virus. Supporting your body's defenses right where germs first try to enter. Clear is a hygiene product recommended for daily use, drug-free, non-drowsy, and safe for all ages. Just a quick spray in the morning and evening helps you cleanse your nose. Don't just hope for protection, create it. Get Clear Nasal Spray, your daily defense. Clear Nasal Spray is available at retailers nationwide and online. Check out xlear.com for our special offers. That's xlear.com.
Thanks for listening, and thanks for supporting our sponsors because we endorse their products and we're very happy to receive their support to make intelligent medicine a continuing free resource for you. And now back to today's guest, environmental and wellness expert, Helen Christoni. So I've heard that one of the entry points for toxins into our air is paradoxically, it's from our shower water. Now we tend to
Yeah.
think of that water, it just, coats our bodies. Maybe that's not so great, but it goes down the sink. But when you shower, especially with hot water, it aerosolizes some things. So
Yeah.
I think one of the products that is offered is various types of shower filters. And how important is that? And what does it filter out? What's the rationale for that?
Oh gosh. So so first of all, our AquaTrue shower filter is awesome because you take one shower and you're like, whoa, like this is a game changer. And so for anyone that likes their skin and hair and you just feel softer, fresher, it's just a real experiential thing. But when we talk about the science, there's disinfectant byproducts, two big ones, chlorine and chloramines.
Hmm.
And so a lot of people think that every water system uses chlorine, which they do to some extent. But a chloramine is a combination of chlorine and ammonia, and it's very hard to remove from water, and it's also very abrasive. And so this chloramine, which is used in 40% of the United States in Los Angeles, Miami, Washington, D.C., San Francisco, like all these major cities use chloramines, and it can chew through copper pipes. And so think about what it's doing to our dermis. You have people that have eczema,
Hmm.
psoriasis, we're
Hmm.
inhaling it. So it's really important that we're reducing our chlorine and our
Well,
chloramine, which are,
I can speak to that because I'm a inveterate swimmer, and I try to do open water swimming, but you can't
oh,
really. I'm on the East Coast, so can't really
yeah.
do it in January. So I'm at the
No.
pool a lot, and I got to say that one of the devastating things about indoor swimming is what it does to your skin and
Oh,
hair,
yeah.
and it really desiccates and dries your skin. And if I swim too much, I routinely will get a rash. And
Oh, yeah.
it is definitely a chlorine rash. Ordinarily, I don't have rashes, but
No.
when I have to limit my swim because and it from a little kitchen chemistry here. Chlorine, from what I understand, is an odorless gas. It's
Yes.
only when you get that chlorine smell in the pool because you have chloramines. And why do you get chloramines? Well, people sometimes do something in the pool which actually puts a little ammonia in the pool. Maybe that's part of it. Also, it's just the skin fragments that people shed when they swim. And you get that chlorine smell, which is not chlorine. You're not breathing chlorine. You're breathing chloramine, which is burns the lungs, burns the eyes, irritates the skin. So yes, there is, I'm very familiar with that problem. And I don't know if there's a workaround, you get them to change it to an ozonated pool or something like that.
I mean, one thing that, in my swimming years when I had my pelvis issues, I lived in the pool and I would
Yeah,
like drag my legs with a
it's a
float. It
it's
was
a
the only
cross
thing.
train. Yeah,
A
exactly.
100%. It's the only thing I could do to recover. And I think like barrier is so important. Like you need to wet your hair, you need to like put a barrier on your skin before you get in the pool to like stop that. But, as it relates to our shower, we're not really thinking
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
and
You're actually
taking
removing the barrier because the soap actually takes the protective layer off your skin, and so your
yeah.
skin is exposed without any sort of barrier.
Yeah, and it's the equivalent of drinking 8 to 10 glasses of tap water. So no one's going to be like, hey, let me just sit down and chug 10 glasses of tap water.
Hmm.
And that is basically what taking a shower is. So our shower head is really great. First of all, it's adjustable. So it really acts like a regular, nice shower head. So you can have different streams, like whatever makes you happy in the shower.
Yeah,
A shower is our sanctuary. So when we were developing that product, it was important to us, but also it reduces chlorine and chloramines,
yeah.
which many don't, and then also heavy metals. And so I think it's like for people who rent or can't necessarily afford to buy a whole house reverse osmosis system because they are very cost prohibitive. This is a great way. Like throw a couple shower heads up in your home.
Hmm.
It's really gonna benefit you and your family's hair health, your skin health, and you'll have a nicer experience.
So the concern I have with these is that because there's a filter in that, is
Yeah.
that already, if you live in a tall building in New York and they have these regulations to reduce the water pressure, you're going to get sometimes a kind of a dribble even without that filter. Is that filter going to further impede the water flow, or have you worked out a way that you can get adequate water flow even with a filter?
We worked really hard on that. So, I mean, we really wanted to, let's talk about, I think this is so interesting. So, what happens with shower filters is that it turns into what we learned was we were trying to like test, for contaminant reduction. I mean, that's what we do. We're a science-backed company, and so everything's based in science here. So we were testing our filter medium, and it wasn't passing. And we were like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So we were testing it and testing it and testing it, and we were like, what is going on? So we learned that, the filter, when you run water through it, it turns into like a French drain. It just creates like a river in the middle of the filter medium.
Oh.
So what we did at AquaTrue for our shower filters, we kind of made like a filter for our filter, which equally disperses the water throughout the filter medium. So it helps with a couple things. Actually removing and using the entirety of the filter medium.
Right. So it's not just the center. Right.
Yes. And then also like dispersing so you get the water pressure. And so we were able to check 2 boxes with that. And so
it's not like a bottleneck, in other words.
No,
Okay,
it really like disperses. So, and then it's adjustable. So we did a lot of things to make sure we're very neurotic about our science and our products.
Okay,
here.
I'm gonna sample one of your
Yes.
the water filters. I mean the shower filters,
Yes,
and
we'll
give it
send
a
you
shot. And easy to install. I can do this myself. I don't need a plumber.
You twist it off
Okay,
and twist it on. It was really easy.
got it. And then also, is it a nuisance to have to keep changing the filter all the time? It's like how often?
Every 90 days. It's literally you pop it off, you screw one on. We made it very, very easy.
Okay. And so how often should you change the filter in a shower?
About every 3 months.
3 months. Okay.
Yeah, every 3 months.
Okay.
And we made it super easy. It's just a click, push button. You screw it off, you throw in a filter, and you go about your day. Really simple.
Okay. So give us the resources, please, once again. So first of all, when it comes to, you have a lot of resources at airdoctor.com.
Sure. So let's recap. We have airdoctor.com where you can find all of our air purifiers, also tons of blogs. I mean, we've been blogging on air quality for years and years. So if you have a question, we pretty much will have an answer for you. Then if you're concerned about your air quality index, the AQI report, you can go to myAirQualitySafe.com and you'll be able to read your AQI report, understand what's going on outside.
Okay, so I would urge you to take advantage of those resources. And then when it comes to water, there's a companion site, ismywatersafe.com. Okay,
we have ismywatersafe.com. So important that people understand what your municipality is getting out, what they're not. And it's eye-opening for everybody. And then you can go to AquaTrue and the same thing. We have all of our products there. We really have something for every budget.
AquaCure.
No, it's AquaTrue.
Pure.
True. So AQUATRU.com.
Oh, true. AquaTrue. Okay, got it.
And lots of resources there for everybody. So we really work hard to dig in, verify the science. There's lots of studies, tons of data. And then for me, you can find me at Helen Christoni. I'm kind of everywhere.
Helen Christoni, and I'll spell it. It's like Christ with an O-N-I on the end, right?
Yes.
Christoni, and the Helen part's easy. Okay, great. Look, thanks very much for joining us, and thanks for your dedication to this important issue. And I think, you're a great communicator. You have a great way of breaking down some of these complex issues for the public. But I urge our listeners to, take action and at the very least, kind of do a checklist of where contaminants may reside in your home, office, or apartment. Minimize your exposure. Don't add, scented candles, deodorizers. That just makes things worse. Root out sources of contamination and buy natural products, because I think that makes a difference too. Natural cleansers and so on. Plus you're supporting, manufacturers of green products, which I think is important too.
Yes.
Vote with your consumer dollars. And then take measures to abate the problem. Your air, your water, your showers. I think that can help to ensure that you have a safe home environment and that you're not adding to your toxin burden for you, yourself, your loved ones, family. So great stuff. Helen, thanks very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
And keep up the great work, and maybe circle back with us, because there's always these issues. We're discovering more and more about how there are linkages to our toxic environment. And I just mentioned rheumatoid arthritis. I mean, yes, brain disorders, yes, cardiovascular disorders, but, the problems are so pervasive that they may even affect our joints. Incredible.
100%. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me on.
It's my great pleasure. I'm Dr. Ronald Hoffman. That was Helen Christoni, and this is the Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I want to thank you for listening to the Intelligent Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast app, and get new episodes automatically downloaded every weekday. And please give us a rating and review. It truly helps new people discover intelligent medicine. The Intelligent Medicine Podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice, and no doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of information on this podcast or materials linked from this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they may have and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. Finally, please visit drhoffman.com and discover everything intelligent medicine has to offer, including frequently updated, unbiased health news and fully vetted product and supplement recommendations. You're listening to Intelligent Medicine, a resource to help you take control of your health. We offer a balanced, objective analysis of all your health, wellness, and aging options, both conventional and alternative. Now you can take your engagement to the next level by joining FullScript. FullScript is my online dispensing platform that only offers curated, professional-grade supplement brands that I know and trust. Never counterfeit or expired, always stored and shipped correctly. Just go to drhoffmanstore.com for more information and to start your free FullScript account. Buying through FullScript offers fast, free shipping, optional refill reminders, a mobile-friendly site. It's safe, secure, and HIPAA compliant and offers world-class support. Just go to drhoffmanstore.com. You'll get access to the supplements and features you need to help you achieve your wellness goals, including my custom targeted protocols that combine the products I recommend to address specific needs, heart health, immune support, and much more. It's all at drhoffmanstore.com. drhoffmanstore.com.